Hello again, everyone. I'm finally back with another episode of the Regressive Handbook after far too long of a hiatus in which I lived almost exclusively as a live stream whore. Fear not, though, as I'm back at the helm creating new, somewhat decent quality content that I hope you'll all enjoy. Without any further ado, let's open up the old Regressive Handbook, shall we?
There's a saying where I come from. Only at the dentist is it safe to open your mouth.
Well then, I guess it's great that the United States saw fit to welcome you and extend to you the benefits of the First Amendment, huh? Now, I'm just saying, if it was me in your position, I probably wouldn't be nearly as quick to kick sand in the face of my new nation. But again, just me.
Although that's not really true, most dentists are also government informants.
Yep. Really unlikely to sit around bashing my new country.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
But the fact remains, if you want to speak freely in the Middle East, the first thing you should say is goodbye to your tongue.
Bassem, we get it. The Middle East is a censorious shithole and the United States is a haven of free speech. Where's the downside here?
But America was founded on free speech. Here you get to say anything that you want.
America's about everybody! Every race, every color, everything!
All right, 10 full minutes to get down on this mess.
But I'm the President of the United States, and I won't have a country that is run by a bought Congress.
Yeah, the First Amendment is awesome. Sure, it means that every now and then you'll have to hear some opinions that you don't like or don't agree with. But that's just the price you pay to be able to voice your opinions that other people may equally disagree with. Double-edged blades tend to work that way.
And it gets really loud.
Now, just looking at this title, it says so much about how today's liberals view freedom of speech. To them, free speech is only a virtue of a developed society if you can decide who actually gets to speak freely. Funny how that works.
Back in Egypt, I tried hard to exercise my free speech. And in the end, well, here I am in America.
Thankfully, here I am surrounded by the voices of many fellow freedom fighters, like Tim Delgado. He's just one of the great Americans who's been fighting hard for the right to speak his mind.
Now, how is it that I can already sense a cherry-picked example of a terrible use of the whole freedom of speech defense? Maybe just a hunch, maybe I've seen enough of Bassem and Fusion to know where it's going. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Tim, are you the face of free speech?
Yeah, in a sense.
You were working in California Pizza Kitchen?
Yeah, I was a server at California Pizza Kitchen.
There was something that went down with the uniform?
Yeah, they changed the uniforms one day from white button-ups to black button-ups. And I tweeted at Cal Pizza Kitchen, and I was like, black button-ups are the lamest shit ever. And they were like, oh, you gotta fire them.
Nope. Called it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you basically sacrificed yourself for
the greater good.
I strongly support Tim's heroic efforts, even if I don't fully understand them.
You know, Bassem, I'm with you on this one. I don't understand Tim either.
Also, there was a tweet that they found that they didn't like time to go to work at California Pizza Kitchen.
Okay, so Tim goes on to explain the vernacular of skeet and jizz to Bassem, and even I won't lower myself to sitting here highlighting the conversation. As such, I've cut out the remainder of the segment, but I can assure you that nothing of any merit was covered. Trust me. And if you don't, and of course I encourage you all to question everything you see and hear, then you can see the original video by clicking on the link in this video's description. Now, back to the original video, and hopefully back to something worthwhile about the First Amendment.
Tim was a kindred spirit. He sacrificed his livelihood at the expense of his deep beliefs. And there were other soldiers on the front lines of the battle for free expression. Take Lindsay Stone. She posed for this sassy snapshot in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier to exercise her free speech. Unfortunately, The public didn't share his sense of humor, and she was shamed into hiding for a while.
Well, you know what they say about pissing into the wind. But in all seriousness, getting pushback on a public forum like Twitter, where you can control which accounts can push notifications to you and where you can restrict DM access to only the people you follow and that follow you back, yeah, getting pushback there is not really a big deal because you can manage the flow of it. Claiming that you were shamed into hiding is quite the stretch when you have that kind of control over who contacts you and which notifications and tweets you ultimately see.
Then there's Justine Sacco, who sent this pre-flight tweet before boarding a plane for Cape Town.
Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white.
By the time she landed, it was an international incident.
While she was apparently offline in midair, millions were online, anxiously waiting for her to land and see the uproar her tweet caused.
Well, you know, it's not like the HIV/AIDS problem in South Africa is racially divided or anything. Oh, so a study by Alert proved that it was actually quite divided by racial lines. Huh. Okay, I'm not saying that the joke wasn't of poor taste. It was. But it was based in the facts regarding HIV rates in South Africa. Either way, as I said before, if your Twitter feed is blowing up, just take a trip through the privacy and notification menus and you'll be just fine.
And there's beloved YouTube sensation Nicole Arbor.
Dear fat people.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Bring on the flame war. Seriously, her Dear Fat People video? Absolute gold. She takes it to everyone who chooses to cram Twinkies in their face, chasing them down with double super upsized big gulps of Coca-Cola while sitting on the couch and whining about how the world needs to reevaluate its beauty standards, and she takes it to them hard. But what have you got to say about Nicole Arbor, Bassem?
Fat shaming is not a thing.
Yeah, but I couldn't fit into a store. That's discrimination.
No. That means you're too fat and you should stop eating.
Her rant got nearly 12 million viewers, about 11 million of whom used their free speech to tell her she was a terrible person. Seems like in America, the Twitter mob is just as influential as the military regimes back home. They'll shut you down. But I won't let that happen to me here.
Well, aside from the phrasing that kind of makes it seem like you support the claims that she's a terrible person for kicking fat people while they're down, presumably looking for a chocolate bar that they dropped under the table, I'm with you here. Twitter mobs are often orchestrated to try and drown out dissenting voices and unpopular or controversial opinions. Yeah, organized social media harassment. Ain't that some shit? Regardless, Bassem's about to do another bit of shtick where he heads out to pester people on the street in the hopes of getting some sort of reaction. I'm going to push through it at double speed to show that, yes, I'm including the material and yes, it's a bunch of fluff, but it's not the etymology of the term skeet in pop culture, so it doesn't warrant being completely removed. Here we go.
I'm taking my crusade to the streets.
This is freedom of speech, as it should be. You want to experience your freedom of speech? You gotta talk to her why. I'm making everybody uncomfortable. You want to experience your freedom of speech? You want to shout as loud as you can? No? This is experiencing freedom of speech, saying nothing at all. And yes, you can take a picture of me. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah. Are you uncomfortable? Yeah! Okay, good. I can say whatever I want.
You can't be on the property doing that. You can do it on the side here, you just can't be up here.
Freedom of speech is being taken away from me. Freedom of speech is being taken away from me.
Now, though he is rather obviously being sarcastic about his free speech being taken away, in case you're watching this and thinking he really was being censored, please remember that he was on private property at the time that the employee informed him that he would have to move, and even then, that he only had to move a few steps before being back on public property where he could carry on with his bullhorn bellowing.
For all the free speech you guys have around here, it sure is hard to get a word in edgewise. Please, Tim, give me some hope.
Oh yeah, by all means, let's go back to Tim, skeet expert Delegato, for some uplifting, inspirational input.
You know what's funny is the week I got fired, I won a YouTube contest for like $15,000, and that's why I was able to kind of concentrate on my YouTube content, and I haven't worked a real job since. In a sense, I flipped it into my career, you know?
And it worked out for you. There's the happy ending I was looking for.
Yep, because it's totally realistic for your average citizen to badmouth their employer, get fired from that job for being a disrespectful punk, then win 15 grand and get it to live out the next few years in an online sensation. Oh yeah, really setting a great example.
The little guy lands on top still. His freedom to speak out remains unfettered.
You know, unless YouTube decides that his content is no longer advertiser friendly or simply too sensitive or controversial, and they decide to start pulling his videos, demonetizing them without notice, or unsubscribing people from his channel without their knowledge. Yeah, sure. Completely unfettered.
Sure, 90% of the time he's using it to talk about his penis, but that's not the point. America, here's what I propose. If you have any free speech left over, give us your sloppy seconds. Believe me, we have plenty to talk about if anyone would ever let us. Government, the military, religion, you name it. In return, we'll give you all the dick pics that you want. Foreskin not included.
Well, Bassem, I'm going to have to pass on the generous dick pic offers. It's not so much the caveat about foreskin so much as I'd rather just avoid a dong tsunami in my DMs. In all seriousness, though, Bassem has once again demonstrated just how great the United States is, and most other Western democracies are, in comparison to the Middle East. Of course, there's always a catch. Sure, you can say essentially whatever you want without getting thrown in jail, tortured, and shot, but you might get fired for bad-mouthing your place of employment publicly. And people can disagree with you just as vehemently as you support your own point of view. Either way, not being one to leave my viewers without at least one decent takeaway from a video, I'd like to say this. Free speech can be both a blessing and a curse, but the curse mainly comes from not understanding the laws surrounding that freedom. In Canada, our speech is far more restricted than the speech of our southern neighbors, so we need to have a much better understanding of how free our free expression really is. So if you're watching this video, and you haven't already taken a good long look into the First Amendment or your nation's equivalent in the event that your country has a comparable piece of legislation, then I would recommend that you set some time aside, right now if possible, to go and read up on it. Trust me, it's not just for your own benefit, but to the benefit of all those around you. When you know how your laws work, you stand a better chance of being able to properly employ your rights to have the greatest end effect. And with that, I'd like to send out a big thank you to my patrons, fans, and even my detractors. In your own special ways, you all inspire and enable me to keep doing what I'm doing. I know I've been a slouch with this kind of prepared, structured video as of late, actually for the last couple of months now, but that slump has officially come to an end, and you can expect much more from me going forward. Thank you all, and have a good one.